Okay, so this video we're going to be taking a look at the different types of stem cells. And there's a lot of controversy around this, but it's very interesting. The stem cells. So basically when you're talking about stem cells, you're talking about baby cells that grow into stuff. And stem cells are classified based on 4 levels of potency, meaning how powerful can they be? What can they do? So the first one we want to look at is totipotent. So totipotent stem cells originate obviously from a woman being pregnant, and there's a in the first stage, one of the first stages in pregnancy is the zygote stage, where it's basically a single cell. This is obviously after things after it's confirmed pregnancy, etc., etc., and that zygote begins to differentiate. And differentiate just means it begins to grow and to turn into other stuff. And it's different stages that it goes through. A lot of different stages there. But it starts out as a zygote, and it ends up in this first stage of totipotent stem cells, because these are all stem cells, meaning that they're still inside of the mother. And the last stage of this one is called the morula. So basically, the zygote starts out as a single cell, then a double cell, then this, then that, each day, and it turns into this morula. Now, these cells in here, if someone were to take one of these cells here from the zygote, just to pick one off, for example, that cell can turn into any other cell in the human body. Now, why is this useful in medicine? This is useful because people can take these cells, and if somebody has a damaged liver that they want to get replaced, they can stick one of these stem cells inside of that person's liver, and because it's in the liver environment, it will essentially turn into the brand new baby liver cells that person needs. Now, what's the controversy behind it? Well, the controversy is that you're essentially breaking up a child. You're breaking up a baby, in this case, if you're talking about the zygote stage here. That's the controversy behind it, because you have to use human embryo, human eggs, to be able to get this process to work. However, it could save a lot of lives. But the point is that totipotent, think of it like total. These cells can turn into any other cell that you need. If you need immune cells, you can take these stem cells, put them in the right environment, and they'll turn into the immune cells that you need. That's why they're called totipotent. Now, the next stage is the pluripotent. And this is assuming, again, these two here, totipotent and pluripotent, are at the embryonic stage. Embryonic stage, meaning this is still inside of a womb. Now, this stage here is the blastocyte stage. Blastocyte. And this is where it's, really starts to get moving within the first trimester of pregnancy. And if you were to take cells from the embryo part, the embryoblast part of these blastocytes, there's little pieces of these individual cells inside. These are all little cells inside of the blastocyte, which is the overall cell. If you take a little cells from the embryoblast part of the blastocytes, those stem cells, because these are still stem cells because they're inside of the womb, these cells can turn into anything except the cells from the placenta. And the placenta is a part of the womb. It's a part of what the baby eats from. So these cells here can turn into any other cell you need, just as powerful as a totipotent, but if the placenta cells are damaged, you would need totipotent cells to fix those, because these stem cells here can turn into anything except for placenta cells. Now, the next two here, these are adult stem cells. This is after a person is born, people are alive. These are adult stem cells. And this is the multipotent stem cells. And this generally comes from bone marrow. So basically, doctors will stick a needle in your bone and take out that bone marrow. And those stem cells can turn into a variety of cells, but not all. And I'm not going to get into that in this video, obviously, but you can do your own research and find out which bone marrow, if someone were to take bone marrow, which cells can these turn into to help other people to survive. And a lot of times this is done between family members because of the tissue compatibility. Brother and sister might do it because of the tissue compatibility, because they're genetically related. The other person's immune system is not going to attack it because it came from their sister or their brother, for example. But this is very, very complicated how they do the tissue compatibility. But nevertheless, multipotent stem cells, which means these little baby stem cells inside of the bone, are pulled out and they stick those stem cells into wherever that person needs, and those stem cells can turn into the cells of the tissue that the person might be dying from, particularly cancer. That's very common. The next one, or the last one here, is unipotent. And a lot of times this can come from the skin, and this can only turn into one type of cell. Very limited. Very limited. This is very common in plastic surgery. Using stem cells from the skin to replace another part of the skin. Also, some people are taking skin from one part of the body, putting it on another, and they're using the stem cells to kind of get that process growing. So this is only one type of cell, but this is the big picture of the strength and potency, so to say, of the stem cells.